After Macron's call and Trump's threats, Angela Merkel calls for a European Union military.
Here's a summary of the article.
Strasbourg, German Chancellor Angela Merkel called on Tuesday for an integrated European Union military, echoing language used by French President Emmanuel Macron last week which irritated US President Donald Trump. "We should work on a vision of one day establishing a real European army," Merkel told the European Parliament during a keynote speech in which she consciously backed Macron's call for European defence planning, operations and weapons development. Macron's call, which reflects a broad trend of EU thinking but is not universally accepted, was meant to show European willingness to meet US demands that Europe do more for its own security and rely less on America's security umbrella. On Twitter on November 9, Trump accused Macron of seeking to develop its own military to defend itself from the United States, which EU and French officials said was a misunderstanding. On Tuesday, Trump took aim at Macron again, blasting France over its near defeat to Germany in 2 world wars, its wine industry and Macron's approval ratings. In his remarks on November 6, Macron had been referring to computer hackers who could attack Europe from anywhere, including from inside the United States, officials said. First proposed in the 1950s and taken up 4 years ago by European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker as a response to fraying EU unity, and EU armed forces is seen as strengthening the global power of the bloc, which is an economic giant but a geopolitical minnow.
This post received a score of 30,837, with an upvote ratio of 86%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
US, EU, and Russia. Sounds like the setting of a lot of future-based strategy games.
Eurasia.
We've always been at war with Eurasia.
Or was it Eastasia?
Both.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
The Earth King has invited you to Lake Laogai.
I am honored to accept his invitation.
Our unexpected avatar.
Trump is uniting Europe like no one ever.
It was actually Mega all along.
Meuga. It's pronounced Moiguh.
Meuga.
Meowga. Meowth, that's right.
Wu Bufei.
Warren Buffett.
The more Trump rambles against an EU army, the more he convinces everyone it's actually a good idea.
This is the best TLDR I could make. Original reduced by 59%. I'm a bot. Extended summary, FAQ version 2.02, approximately 363,766 TL, DRS so far. Feedback, PMs and comments are monitored. Constructive feedback is welcome. Top keywords: Macron number 1, European number 2, Merkel number 3, military number 4, president number 5.
Greater than was meant to show European willingness to meet U.S. demands that Europe do more for its own security and rely less on America's security umbrella. What the U.S. really wants is that the Europeans buy more from their arms industry.
Which is hilarious as most of Europe manufacture their own arms. Or at least France and Germany do.
Trump, I'm sick and tired of the U.S. footing Europe's military bill through NATO. Europe, well fuck it. We are going to have a European army, you dick. Trump, WTF. You want to raise an army? That is the worst idea in the history of ideas. Base, yay MAGA.
Technically not raise an army, just unify the command of the 28 existing armies.
Technically not even that, just standardizing equipment for now. At a later stage each member would provide X% of their armed forces to EU Army Command.
Is this being proposed? Sounds pretty reasonable, although do you have any information on this? Preferably sources. But is there really going to be a separate EU army? Who would control that? Some new division, where each country elects their own representative?
Wait, let's not get too excited here. The actual quote is, "Holy conditionals, Batman. We should work on a vision of one day." I've seen less ambivalent statements by Trump on climate change. She's trying to take Macron's side without actually committing to anything.
They're a large pile of independent countries loosely held together by a parliament with limited powers. There's a massive amount of planning and discussion that would have to happen before the first soldier could be hired. Who has what authority? How is it funded? What is it allowed to do? What isn't it allowed to do? Can it just roll into any EU country whenever it wants without getting prior permission from that country's government? Even after all this high-level stuff is worked out, then there are all sorts of practical decisions such as where it is based. This isn't something that can happen tomorrow. It sounds, to me, like whoever made that quote knows what she is talking about and has their head on straight.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by SMMRY.com, without any human intervention.